Hello and welcome to the Classroom Connection, the show that takes you inside Marion County Public Schools. I'm your host, Kevin Christian. And coming up on today's show, we're going to show you how local students in the Ocala Symphony Orchestra are making music together. And then when it comes to sports, learn how one family calls the shots from nearly every possible angle. And you'll discover how complex it can be juggling millions of dollars from multiple accounts to just make ends meet every month. Up first, though, we are going to talk about how our district offers free tutoring services to students at many different schools across the county. Those schools are known as Title I schools because many times of where their funding comes from. Title I also provides a couple of special computer programs to eligible students called VMath and Ticket to Read. And joining me right now to talk about these special programs are Michelle Kernan and Cynthia Leek-Mormon, both with our Title I office. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here with us today. Let me ask you first, what is VMath?
VMath is an online computer program for students. It gives them and teaches them basic math skills based on their grade level. And then after doing the lessons, they have the opportunity to compete with students again all over the world with speed math facts. And so that's very popular with our students.
And I would imagine Ticket to Read is a similar program?
Yes, Ticket to Read is the reading component part of the program, and it has two components actually. If your child is in kindergarten or first, they will see a phonics part where they go and they have a toy shop and they go over high frequency words and the sounds, and so their reward is to go pick out toys when they do well. And then if your child is in second through fifth, the reading component is a reading passage, and they read the story, and then they have comprehension questions, and they have fluency, so it also does their words correct per minute. And then when they do well on that, they have to have 80% correct, and they get to go to the clubhouse, and they get tickets, and they get to buy stuff out of a catalog.
So the reward for learning
Yes.
is what we're talking
Yes.
about. What age groups do these computer programs target?
They target K through 5 for Ticket to Read, and VMath is 2nd through 5th.
Okay, so really FCAT included,
Yes,
FCAT
yes.
grade levels included. What do students have to have in order to access these programs, or how do they access them?
They can access them at home if they have an internet connection. Also, many of the Title I schools have opened their computer labs before school or after school to allow students that may not have computers at home to be able to log on.
And how are these programs paid for? Where does that money come from?
They are paid for out of a Title I school improvement grant that the district was eligible for and applied for.
Okay, let's back up a second. Title I is?
Title I is out of No Child Left Behind, and it's based on the percentage of students at the school that are eligible for free and reduced lunch. For elementary schools, they have to have at least 40% of their school population eligible to be a Title I school, and for middle schools, they had to have 75% or higher.
And this is a federal program?
Yes.
Right. So we're talking about federal tax dollars that come back to the district
Yes.
to provide resources for these students. What kind of results have you seen so far? Or maybe I should ask first, how long have these programs been in place?
We've had these programs available for the last few years, and this year we really wanted to assist parents. It's tough economic times. A lot of parents are struggling with providing support, educational support for their children,
Sure.
and many parents can't afford the tutoring. Now schools have many options for tutoring,
Right.
but this is an at-home piece, and we know that research shows us that the more time a child is spent reading increases their reading proficiency. So we wanted to make sure that we were able to provide multiple types of services to match the needs of families.
How many students are taking part in these?
We have about 20,000 of our students are eligible for one or both of the programs, and we have already over 8,000 that have logged on.
And how does that compare with what you hoped for?
We've seen an increase in the usage this year.
That's a good thing.
Yes, it's a great thing, and we had a competition to kick off the event. We had the school with the most time on VMath and the student with the most time on VMath won a reward. The classroom got a pizza party, and the student got a $25 gift card for the VMath, and then the same for Ticket to Read, but we did it based on the number of tickets earned. And we just celebrated one of the pizza parties, and VBot, who's the mascot for the VMath Live went, and the students were so excited. They all recognized him, and it really motivated them to go back and log on.
Sure. Cynthia, when you go into the classroom and you talk with maybe these students who are taking part in these programs at home, what do you see in those students? What's the response?
They really enjoy it. To me, it's a reading component that motivates them. We're always trying to get the kids to read.
Sure.
And how do you get kids motivated to read? And this program actually motivates them. They love going on, they love reading, they love going to the clubhouse. They love going to VMath because it's a competition. They're excited because they get to compete with kids around the whole world, not just United States, the whole world. They could be competing with somebody in Australia. They told me, some of the kids I've talked to said, oh, I get to see my actual friend's name. When I log on, I can see that my friend's logged on too. So they can even play against their own friends. So that's what they really enjoy about it.
Obviously, these programs are helping students reading and math-wise. What kind of feedback are you getting from teachers?
The teachers are actually, the ones that I've spoken to have enjoyed it. Some of them are able to set lessons for their students if they're struggling in a different area. A lot of teachers, to encourage the students to log on, they have incentives in the classroom. There is what is called a leaderboard on Ticket to Read, where the student can find out where he ranks by week with other students in the United States or in Florida by grade level. And teachers have put their names on their websites, they've celebrated it, they've given out little rewards. So teachers, again, it's a great way to get students to read and practice their math skills, which is helping them in their classroom as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, competition is good.
Yes.
We've always heard that, and this is proof positive that that's the case. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And good luck, and we hope those programs expand in the future.
Thank you.
Well, it is no secret that our district suffered severe budget cuts over the last few years. Despite this, though, some programs are experiencing great results and higher demand than ever, including SES, or Supplemental Educational Services. Here's our student reporter, Ben Capitano, to explain why.
At 7 till 4, all buses have left and most staff has gone home. But because of federally mandated Supplementary Education Services, or SES, some students and several Title I hired tutors have stayed behind.
This is called what?
Equivalent fraction.
Equivalent fraction. What is it?
You see, for those kids whose scores need improvement and qualify for reduced and free lunch, they receive free tutoring from a company called Title I.
I'm Mr. Manning. I'm the Dean at Ocala Springs Elementary School, and I'm currently doing SI2 tutoring, which is part of SES, and I've been doing that for 2 months now. We've been working on, I have grades 3, 4, and 5 in here, and we've been working on multiplication through area and perimeter all the way to fractions. The SES program is a free program that we're using at our school to help students out that need the extra help in their classroom with the assessments that they have to do. This just gives them extra help that they don't have to pay for, so they do have to qualify for the program, but we just want them to have the availability to get that extra help anytime that they wish to get it. So we tutor here about 3 hours per week, so they get all that extra help to use in their classroom.
What would the rest of this be?
However, in this economic downturn, where budget cuts have been made across the board, the SES program is struggling as well.
If the school does not meet adequate yearly progress for 2 or more consecutive years, then the school qualifies for the program. So even though more schools are qualifying, we're not receiving more funding to serve more students, we're still having to prioritize students and serve only the lowest performing students. We're having to cut the prioritization down. So instead of serving levels 1 through 3 as we did last year, this year we've only been able to place levels 1 and 2 so far. We're hoping to find out some final funding numbers from another program that uses this same money, and we'll find that out in the next couple weeks to know if we can place some more students.
At Ocala Springs Elementary and schools across the county, the SES program is essential for those kids who need the extra push, as it provides increased scores for the kids themselves and AYP for the school.
Next.
With my students, we do an assessment at the beginning to assess them on what they currently know, and then throughout the progress we give them progress reports that will show their progress in areas that they had difficulty in, and we strictly tutor in those areas. And with this program, I'm seeing tremendous gains in my students' performance. So by the end of their 25 hours, we should see that they're on level and ready to master their assessments.
A very, very good fix to really give them that extra plug that they need. And parents definitely say that they're able to get that extra boost when they have SES. And so they've seen the growth in their kids. And some of those same parents are calling back, and now their kid is higher on the prioritization level because they got that boost last year, so it did them well. And now we're not able to place their child because they're actually bumped up on the prioritization list a little bit. So I think it's been a good thing for our families and our kids, and I hope to see it stick around. At least the in-home and online options where the schools can offer their own tutoring, some of these parents don't have that available to them. So if they can keep it around as an in-home and online option for our free reduced lunch kids, I think it would be fantastic.
SES programs promote higher student achievement levels and expanded to several middle schools this year. For more information on any of the Title I programs, contact the Title I office at 620-7652. Again, the number 620-7652. Now, music is another area affected by budget cuts, with several elementary schools sharing music teachers between them this school year. So to expose kids to music, the Ocala Symphony Orchestra visits schools throughout the year to play and interact with students. Joel Hartley takes us along during a recent visit to 2 local elementary schools.
I could rattle off all kinds of things about how it boosts reading and it boosts math, but really music's important for music, and that's why I'm here, and that's why I strive to give these kids the best education possible.
And that's why the Ocala Symphony Orchestra is visiting elementary schools throughout the district, exposing students to a type of music they may not have heard before.
They don't get this kind of exposure on a regular basis. Outside of this performance and outside of my music classroom, they're probably not going to see a lot of music of this caliber.
Even in her classroom, there is a limit to what the students can be exposed to.
I'm fortunate enough that I do play clarinet, so I could bring that instrument in. However, when we're talking about other instruments like drums and strings and brass instruments, I don't have access to those.
The students may not understand the difference between a viola and a violin.
The violin is much smaller,
but they do enjoy the sounds they make.
I like about how they played for the school for us, and it was like the best thing I ever had.
I liked it most of because I got to hear all the types of music, and I'm really into music because I like dancing, and so I liked it because it was kind of slow, and I'm in slow music.
The visiting musicians showed the students how just about any music can be played on classical instruments, playing the Beatles' Eleanor Rigby on violin, viola, and cello.
They intended to use a string quartet for that because of the right effect that John Lennon was looking for.
Lambolet's family experienced one of the most unique crossover concerts, Metallica's live shows with the San Francisco Symphony.
My sister participated in that. She's principal violist of the San Francisco Symphony, and she was there and she told me about it, and it was tremendous. You know, she really enjoyed it, even though it was huge and loud and completely unexpected.
Lambolet got his start following in that sister's as well as his brother's footsteps.
I discovered his cello, and this was in 1974. And I told my mother I was interested in becoming a cellist, or at least taking lessons with it, because, you know, just trying to make sounds with it. So at that point, she arranged to have lessons for me.
The rest, as they say, is history. Now the hope is history will repeat itself with the symphony's visits to elementary schools.
Our goal is to really pique their interest. Obviously, children are exposed to various kinds of music, but our goal is to really instill, again, a lifelong love of learning about the classics and the arts, and hopefully it will inspire them enough to pick up an instrument.
They may be musicians in waiting, you know, who want to take this up either as a hobby or as a profession. But the important part is to, I think, to plant that seed in the minds of children.
The orchestra sponsors its 21st annual Young Artists Competition next month, and winners earn the opportunity to solo with the orchestra in late February. Well, as life gets more and more hectic, it is harder and harder for families to spend more time together. There's one local family, though, that gets together nearly every Friday night, but not in the manner in which you might think. Once again, here's Joel Hartley.
Many high school students have a part-time job to earn a little money. Forest High's Chris Adams is no different, but his job is.
My granddad and my mom have done it for so long. I just started out going to games when I was like 2, 3 years old, and as I grew up, I just grew more familiar with the rules, and my brother started student officiating when he was 16, so I figured I'd give it a whirl. It seemed like fun, so I just gave it a shot, and it beats bagging groceries after school.
That's right. The high school senior has been a high school football official since he was 16. His grandfather's been an official for over 50 years. Mom just shy of 30. It's really all the family has ever known.
I've been going to games with my father since I can remember as a kid. My kids started going with me personally as an official since they were 5. So they pretty much grew up doing the same thing I did. I can't remember a time when I didn't go to a game.
Not only are they all officials, but you'll often find them working together on a single crew. A unique bonding experience for 3 generations.
I love it. It's really a lot of fun. We're called the family. Some coaches love us, some coaches not so much, but we really have a good time.
And not only working the games, but the fellowship, going to the games, coming back to the games, stopping to eat. It's just it's really something you can't explain unless you have experienced it. And I don't know if too many folks have experienced it like that as a family going. It's just a joy.
It's indescribable, really. I mean, how many families get together every Friday night and go out and officiate football games? I mean, most just sit around the dinner table or something like that, but it gives you another chance to bond in a unique way.
Some people may not think a woman or teenagers should be football officials. As a referee, Mayhew realizes he can't intervene when his daughter or grandsons don't get the respect they deserve because of their age or gender.
You want to, but I think that's the wrong thing to do. She has to deal with that. She has to handle it, and she's done a good job handling it. And it was the same with the youth.
It has gotten better over the years. When I first registered 29 years ago, I was one of 3 in the state of Florida. I got some grief from fellow officials, as well as I didn't really get a grief from the players because I like to develop that relationship with my players. I don't get a whole lot of shock looks anymore, but that was part of it. It's not really that bad anymore, and anything I get now, I'm used to it.
I've only been asked how old I was one time. The coaches, they just look at the stripes and they give you that respect. If they do give me a hard time, I'll put them in line. Either warn them, give them a technical foul, throw a flag on them, something like that. But the respect is normally there.
Most people become officials to be a part of the game. Some once their playing career ends, and others when they realize there won't be much of one to begin with.
I tried out for basketball my freshman year. Fortunately, I wasn't fortunate enough to make the team, and I said, well, I could either try out next year for JV, have the same thing happen, or I could go out and officiate and have a different perspective on the game.
I was the other way. I played basketball, football, baseball in high school, and some semi-pro football. And then when that was over, you kind of miss the game, and it keeps you a part of the game.
For Terry, working with her father is great. So is working with her sons. But seeing her father working with her sons is really special.
I think you're going to cut this part out, right? I think he's always been a positive influence. He's been a positive influence on me, obviously, because he's my father. But he's also been a great influence on my kids. And working together has just been a benefit. It's been really fun.
In addition to working with his family on Friday nights, William also referees at Gator football practices. Well, keeping it all in the family, our district supports one official charity, the United Way of Marion County. Marion County Public Schools is the largest single contributor to the United Way's annual giving campaign. And some events are pretty much staples each year. For instance, the Superintendent's Golf Tournament and the Custodial Services Wheelbarrow of Goodies raffle. That's a mouthful. But new events keep the fun in fundraising, especially this year. And Joel Hartley once again takes a look at some of those unique events.
Fresh out of the dunk tank at the Downtown Fall Festival, Deputy Superintendent Wally Wagner was back on dry land, playing in United Way Basket Brawl 2011, a charity basketball game pitting the school district against public supermarkets. But this was no ordinary pickup game. There was a band from Howard Middle School, with Principal Rob Hensel serving as guest drummer, and a cheerleading squad, with MTI Principal Pam Roberts, School Board Chair Judy Zanetti, and multiple Golden Apple winners. Speaking of Golden Apples, reigning Teacher of the Year Todd Karsten traded in his golf spikes for sneakers to help out with the cause. They even had a coach, and who better to coach the district squad than Jim Haley, who led the Vanguard program for nearly 4 decades.
It brought me out of retirement after 2 years. But boy, I'll tell you what, I had to make some adjustments.
Haley had to work with a roster which included a school board member, both deputy superintendents, and his old principal, David Ellers. Fortunately for Haley, he had previous experience coaching a couple of his players.
Mark Vianello played at Vanguard, and Brandon Hicks, who played at Vanguard High School. So I was very fortunate to have 2 of my former players. And then we had some other good players that filled in and did a good job.
In his 36 years at Vanguard, Haley won over 650 games and 3 state titles. Where does this team stack up?
That's a tough question. You know, we had a real good start in 5, but we really had to blend in the 40 and 50-year-old guys. We had to blend them in for substitutions, but the winning game ticket was we always kept 2 starters, 2 real good starters out on the floor, and that's why I think the game was so close, but it kept it exciting. But thank God we won, because I would have never heard the end of it.
His former player Mark Vianello would have never heard the end of it had he gotten the GOAT as part of another United Way fundraiser.
Last year I was looking for ideas for fundraising, and I found this one. In our system with the great email, it worked out perfect.
Here's how it worked. For $3, you bought a raffle ticket, but not necessarily for yourself. You could put someone else's name on the ticket, giving them the option of buying a $10 insurance policy to avoid being delivered a real live goat.
About 12 people bought the goat insurance, and it was a good thing for some of them. Mark Vianello was our leading GOAT recipient, other than the lady who won and bought her own tickets. But his department loves him very much, and almost everybody in there wanted to buy him a GOAT ticket. We did have an offer, though, of $25 on a cancellation on insurance.
The winning ticket belonged to Kathy McCabe, who, along with her son, bought more tickets than anyone in the hopes of assuring herself a new addition to the family.
Who would not want to go? Let's be serious. Look at him. He's going to eat everything eventually. You can walk him on a leash. People can pet him, and I know you can't feel him from over there, but he is so fuzzy. He's perfect.
Last year, our school district raised $274,000 for the United Way. This year, the goal? To raise that to $300,000. Well, imagine managing millions of dollars between multiple bank accounts and having to account for every single penny. Well, that's exactly what our finance department does every day. Many times, it's quite the challenge. Here's Chadwick Pierce to explain.
In today's economy, everybody is on some type of a budget. The district faces these challenges on a daily basis, and our finance department works diligently to keep up with the district's financial needs.
Marion County Public Schools, like 66 other counties in the state of Florida, receive funding by 4 sources. State, and we also receive funding from local, which comes from our property taxes. We receive some federal funds, such as Title I, IDEA. Our food service program is also federal funds. And then we receive some local funding, which typically is small grants and different kinds of donations directly to our schools.
Funding is acquired through a variety of sources. that must be allocated to different departments based on certain guidelines.
We go through a budget process where we actually go in and cut the budget in different areas. And once that process is done, the funds are allocated, and our department, the finance department, monitors that, not only the inflows of revenues, but we also monitor based on a facility how each department and school is spending those dollars. And we do that monthly. We do that as expenditures occur to make sure that they are spending the funds as budgeted.
Student enrollment plays a large role as a source of funding received from the state.
That funding is developed through a formula called the FEFP program, and it looks at what grade a student it is in. It looks at the type of program, whether they are ESOL student or special ed or vocational. So those numbers are developed that way.
Another large source of funding for the county is real estate and property taxes that are collected.
The school system has 3 taxes they levy, but they're all on real estate. So if real estate values are falling, even if tax rates stay the same, the gross revenue that comes in is going to be declining unless you raise the rates. If you take all the taxes we collect in Marion County, which is about 1/3 of $1 billion, with a B, $1 billion, 39% of those gross taxes approximately are collected for the school system. So of about 300 to 330, it can vary because of tag and title fees go up and down of our gross, but we'll collect about $123 million for the school system, which is again about 1/3 to 39% of the total taxes we collect.
Once all of the funding is received by the county, it has to be dispersed to specific sources within the school district.
The general fund is where all the revenues and expenses are recorded for general operating purposes. Salaries of teachers, of administration, utility bills, gas for the buses, salaries for support people, our equipment. There is another fund called Capital, and those monies are set aside for remodeling and renovation. And so take the sales tax that was levied from 2005 to 2010. We are supposed to set aside those dollars, and it's only for capital. So those monies are put aside in another fund. If you could think of it as you had 5 or 6 different bank accounts, and you had to keep all of the money you spent as well as the money you received in each one of those bank accounts. And that's basically what we do. And we pay the bills out of a particular account depending on what the fund source is and depending on what the budget is.
As proof of success, our finance department has earned the highest government accounting award for 11 years running. So again, congratulations to them. Well, each month here on Classroom Connection, we feature someone who really gets into their job in our school district. This month, that person is Frank Beasley. He's known as the person responsible for all activities at Denellen High School, but he's also known as the high school football coach.
Stay tighter. Get your hands on. Hey. It's different kids every year, so we get excited about every year is different. All 7 seasons, every group of kids is very different from one to the next. So it's always exciting to me as a coach to have that challenge every year of trying to get a group of people to win a district championship. Is our ultimate goal. Kick them down there. We work really hard to move our kids to the next level in college, and we've signed over 20 kids here in the 7 years I've been here, which is not just me, it's our players. Our kids have to be good players, and our assistant coaches do a good job. But we work really hard on making sure we have good kids in our program. We feel like that wins a lot of games, but that carries over to their life as well.
Iowa tournament, because you were given a clear set.
Just see kids every day, to watch them grow up. Not here in the classroom. I get to impact a lot more kids in the classroom than I even do out on the football field. We have 100 kids in our football program, and I get to teach over 100 kids every day. There's 200 kids that I get to be in contact with every day. So that's pretty exciting, and that means a lot to me, and I take my job in the classroom and on the football field very seriously.
If you know someone who really loves their job and makes a difference for our students, we want to know about them. Email their information to us at classroomconnection@marion.k12.fl.us. Again, the email address is classroomconnection@marion.k12.fl.us. Well, Superintendent Jim Yancey shares important information with us each month in this part of our show. So here is this month's Superintendent Spotlight.
Hi, and welcome to Waimea Park Elementary School. By now your children are probably feeling a lot of anxiety about all the testing they've been going through and are quite frankly tired of being tested as we move through this month. The end of November and the early parts of December have been full of testing, especially at the high school level. And we appreciate the fact that you're sending your children to school every day ready for those tests and prepared to learn. During this month, we hope you have some time to spend with your family as you gather for Christmas and winter break. We hope that each of you get time to rest and come back refreshed to start this new school year in January. As we move forward, you know that we've got a couple of key dates coming up. One, they'll be receiving interim reports as well as getting ready for semester exams. We hope to see you in the new year. Thanks, and see you next year. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Yancey, and thank you for joining us today. From all of us here at Classroom Connection and throughout Marion County Public Schools, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a safe and joyous New Year.